What is going on, everybody? It is MurderInc here, back with my first episode of the progression series featuring Turvold. Really excited to go over all this stuff with you. So if you don't know already, one of my viewers gave me an account where he was collecting all of the login rewards, and after opening them, he did get a Turvold. He gave me the account, and I decided to make a series on this, progressing through this game as quickly as I can with Turvold and the rest of the champions this has. Turvold is going to be, as far as right now, the only legendary I'm going to use. I'm going to be doing a clan boss team with no poisoner, just Turvold. So I'm going to show you my process on going through the game as quickly and as efficiently as possible, so you can pick up some tips along the way, whether you're a new player, whether you're starting out. It doesn't matter if you spend money, if you don't spend money. Everything I'm doing here you can do as well, and if you do spend money, you will just be going at a faster pace than if you didn't spend money. So the first thing I want to go over is where we're starting out. I received this account on day 108, where it was level 4. It just finished the tutorial. All of the champions were level 1, and the actual account level was level 4. So as we can see here, I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're almost on day 6 now, so let's go over how far I've gotten and what I did to get there. The first thing I did was I picked out the champions I wanted to, and I kind of developed a game plan on what I want to do. So the first goal is get a Dragon 20 farming team as quick as possible and just straight up rush it. Don't worry about anything else. The only thing that matters to me is Dragon 20. Now, I'm still not 100% certain on which team I'm going to be running. As of right now, I think my final thoughts have been Turvold, Zargala, Mausoleum Mage, Madame Ceres, and either Royal Guard or Golden Reaper. That is something I still haven't decided on. As everybody knows, as you're progressing, it's much more difficult to have good gear before getting into the dungeons. So this is going to something I'm going to have to watch very closely, since obviously food takes a long time to level up and all of these things. So if you guys have any suggestions, let me know in the comments what you guys would do, and I'm definitely going to be reading it and considering all of your comments there. I also thought about using Painkeeper. It does provide that AoE heal as well as reducing the cooldowns. I have used him on my main account before while progressing, so he is definitely an option for me to consider. Now, the first thing I did, as you could have mentioned, is from the chickens that the compensation and the login rewards had on this account, I instantly 6-starred Turvold. Unfortunately, as we all know, the Void Keep dungeon will unlock on Friday, and I'm probably going to use around 6,000 energy on it, since so many of my champions are Void. Now, one thing I want you guys to notice is I have not done any progression in any single dungeon. And this is important for all of you to realize, because it's pretty much a waste. Now, after I show you all of this, I mean, outside of, I know this one I did for the Arbiter missions, but the real point here is, look at the gear I've managed to get. I mean, Turvold is nothing special. He's got 161 speed, 74% crit. He does give himself a crit rate buff, and so does Mausoleum Mage, 134% crit damage. Now, Zargala, she's kind of iffy on her gear. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with her yet. She's another champion that's a bit more difficult to gear. So 171 speed, 2,100 attack, not 100% crit yet, which is the most important part. But all of this gear is either from the login rewards or just campaign farming, where I spent most of my time. Mausoleum Mage does have a shield set. I do have Jar Egg. The most impressive thing that I got lucky with is Golden Reaper and how much speed she has. For being just a 5-star, obviously once I 6-star her, her base speed is going to go up. So this is another thing that you should definitely look at, how I got lucky. So let's start and go over what I actually did in the campaign. As we can see here, I have Brutal cleared, I have Hard cleared, I have Normal cleared, and I did a few into Nightmare. It's getting a little bit difficult without the Ascension, so I'm kind of holding off there so I can maximize the amount of energy I'm spending. So the first thing I did is, before I even moved on from here, I went straight to my missions, and I went straight to my artifact missions, and I did all of the really annoying part 1, 2, and 3, where it was get 3 weapons from normal stage on that first part of the campaign, get 3 shields, and it just continues there. I didn't want to have to go back after the fact, so I got it done early on so it made sense for my champions, and I was getting relevant experience. Now, if you do make the mistake where you don't look at this, you completely blow past it, what I highly recommend you doing is keeping some spare gear like I did for Kale. So what I did was I needed kale to be a 5-star food, but some missions I did skip because I got lazy. Now, a way to overcome laziness in this game to maximize efficiency is throw gear on a piece of your food that you know can clear content and put 1 or 2 food champions in there and get the missions done with those champions instead of having to use someone like a Turvold, instead of having to use a level 57 Zargala who's really not going to get a lot of experience. Just use straight up food. This gear is actually enough to clear everything in normal, so it's perfectly fine if you do choose to go this route. Now, as you can see from the gems here, I made a huge mistake. I've been in this habit of always buying void shards, what I call Turvold shards, for my main account, and today, as you can see here, we have the 2x summon for sacred shards. However, they release an awesome void pack, and on my main account I always instantly buy the void packs. So what I did was, while I was playing, I saw it pop up and I instantly bought it. Then I looked at the name and saw it said Turvold Inc. So I did end up getting the void pack on this account instead of my main account. I actually went over and bought it on that account too because I wasn't going to let that go to waste. So I do have additional gems. However, one thing I want to tell you that I cannot stress enough is what has changed from before to now as far as early game progression. Do not unlock the gem mine. Now this is why you don't want to unlock the gem mine. Masteries on your first champion are literally game changing now that they only cost 800 gems. Now if you spend your first 500 gems when you're going to the game, you say, okay, after about 100 days I make the gems back, then I start making profit. That is fine, but what you can do with 800 gems, which you will get as a free-to-play player if you keep up with your challenges, if you keep up with the missions, and if you keep up through the campaign rewards, you will get the additional 300 gems needed even from your login rewards very quickly. And that initial boost in masteries that you'll get, even if you haven't 6-starred your champions yet, is going to be huge and speed up your progression more than you can imagine. Now the second point that I really want to go over that I can't stress enough, and I see people make this mistake all the time, everyone gets to pick a starting champion, whether it's Elaine, Kale, Aethel, or Gallic. Use that champion as your starter, but don't fully invest in masteries and skill ups until you've cleared a decent bit of the campaign, until you've gotten all of the free blue shards, all of the free void shards. Because if you invest in them too early and you end up pulling a good reward from your campaign shards, you're going to have to re-level the more efficient farmer, and you're pretty much going to lose progress overall there. So I highly recommend you consider all of that information before getting into anything new. It's going to save you a lot of resources, and it's going to make sure all of your resources are going into the perfect spot for the content you're doing. Now, another thing I want to talk about, which I see a lot of people doing, is I actually have not farmed 12.3 at all since I've had this account. So all of the food I have, none of it was from 12.3. I spent all of my time farming Palace of Aravia Stage 6, as well as Felwyn's Gate Stage 6. All I want are 5-star speed boots in an accuracy set and 5-star speed boots in a speed set. Those are the most important pieces for me personally. After that, I'll move to a chest piece. I'll start looking for accuracy chest piece, attack percent chest piece, HP percent, defense percent. From there, I'll move on to gloves, where I'm looking for a crit rate for my damage dealers, defense percent, and HP percent for my clan boss or utility champions. So this is very important, and I highly recommend farming here. It does give you less experience, but it will give you the gear you need to progress through dungeons quickly. As I mentioned before, this is a progression series, so I'm only focused on reaching the end game as fast as possible and as efficiently as possible. Now you can spend as much money as you want in this game, opening up tons of shards, but if you don't have an efficient way of getting those champions to where you want in this game, you will not progress as fast as I'm going to progress, and I'm going to show you that here. So now what I want to do is I want to show you where I am at as far as the clan boss goes. Now this is a completely auto team. This isn't going to be the final team for me. Clan boss isn't going to be worth it in the early game until I get to at least brutal. So all of this is just to show you where I'm at, how I'm doing. However, this isn't something I'm focused on improving just yet. Even Nightmare, I would say, is kind of the minimum. So all of the gear you can get and all of the potions you can get are definitely a plus for free keys. However, since I was given an account that just stocked up from login bonuses, I have about, I don't know, I think 20 keys. I have to check after this, but 20 keys can definitely go a long way. as far as pushing additional progression so I can start moving into things like Brutal and Nightmare much quicker. If I can't 3 key it right away, if I can't 4 key it, I have all of these extra keys that I can add where I can use 5 keys, I can use 6 keys when I'm getting very close to hitting that mark of getting the top chest, because those are the difficulties that are really worth it for the clan boss. Everything before then is fine if you have free keys, but it's nothing to invest your time on early game because it does not matter. While we're on the clan boss and while we're watching this go and pretty much looking at what Turvold can do in the early game, another thing I want to talk about is arena. I think a lot of people read early game arena very incorrectly. So what I'm currently doing is I'm only doing 5 arena matches a day. I'm completely ignoring all of the missions for arena, because if you look at the amount of medals you get to the amount of upgrades you can get, bronze medals are not worth it in any way, shape, or form. What I did was I put in the best defense I could think of, and I'm just leveling up my champions. That's the only thing I'm focusing on, and I'm letting my defense get wins, and I'm getting those 5 wins a day. Once I'm confident I can farm all the way to silver and continue through silver, farming teams with ease, then I'm going to focus on the arena, start getting medals, start getting all the upgrades to add more progression to my team. This to me is absolutely the best way, because bronze, getting so few and having it be worth so little, it is just not worth my time to spend more than 5 arena battles a day in any tier of the bronze arena. So that's kind of where I'm at personally and how I feel about it. So let me know what you think. Do you think the similar way? Do you think there's a better approach to that? I'm curious about that. As we can see, Turvold is absolutely doing work. Zargala also has masteries on her as well, so she's definitely not ideal for this composition. I'm going to be using someone else when I make a final comp, obviously. However, for now, she's kind of the person adding the additional damage since she does have War Master. And as mentioned before, she takes a ton of books. She's not booked. The only champion who is booked is Turvold has some books. Golden Reaper has some books. She's actually missing. I got unlucky with her and she's missing the 1 book that's the most important, which reduces her turn meter boosting cooldown. And Jarek, I think, has a couple books in him, but Zargala is a gigantic investment in books overall, so it is someone I chose to wait on before going forward and fully booking her. I think with the use of War Master, I can get away with. I'm definitely going to have to use some books, but I don't think I'm going to have to fully invest in Zargala to get pretty much her worth out of her, since I do have Golden Reaper that's going to be reducing the cooldown, and I'm going to pray for good RNG for Zargala to help me clear through that Dragon 20 run. As you can see here, we're on Demon Lord hard after these few days of working on the account. Turvold did 2.8 million out of the 4.4 million. Zargala did 1.3 simply because of masteries, nothing else. So this is where I'm at right now. As mentioned before, clan boss doesn't really matter, and on a side note, now that I'm remembering and can see here, 21 keys is what I have. So that's going to help me further on when I get to Nightmare, when I get to Brutal, which the goal is going to be to get to at least Nightmare, at least Gold 4 Arena, farming Dragon, hopefully Ultra Nightmare, all within the month. So this is less than a week's progress, and this is where I'm at. Hopefully within the month, I'll have progressed enough, and I think I'm going to see a big spike once I get the Void champions I have completely ascended to get all of those extra bonuses in making that possible. So the last thing I want to talk about, which is kind of interesting, and most people will never experience this because a lot of people use rare farmers or they pull a legendary that's an AoE farmer. It was very unique for me to be using Turvold to progress all the way through the campaign as a single target hitter. He does hit very hard. He pretty much one-shots everyone. I didn't ever reach a stage in Brutal where I wasn't one-shotting the target. However, this was the first time where I actually got to see the mobs in the campaign get a turn, and surprisingly enough, Brimstone Pass was not a difficult dungeon. What I did find out is, ironically, Palace of Aravia was the hardest because there's so much turn meter decrease. There is so much CC in all of these champions, so of course the dungeon I had to farm the most, I struggled with the most. So just for reference, let me show you 46 seconds. So this is a typical team. I have 2 champions to level up here, so I threw them in. This may be a little bit quicker, but we will see. So it does look like this is going to be quicker, but we have so much turn meter down. We have Tayrail, who uses the decreased turn meter and has a sleep and stun that he can place on you. So this proved to be a real nuisance when I was just using Turvold and 3 food, who were either rares, who were uncommons, champions like that. So I found that interesting, and I thought it was relevant enough to share with you guys, just so you got that perspective, even though it's likely that I would generally say 99% of players will never experience that, because the rares you get as starters are all AoE champions, so they have that really good wave clear, and pretty much anyone you're going to be replacing is going to have good wave clear. But I just thought it was interesting going through with the single target champion for the first time in a very long time, and really seeing where he shines and where he doesn't. As you can imagine, with someone hitting as hard as Turvold does, every single stage 7 in all of the campaign was a one-shot. So I didn't struggle anywhere there, which really helped me on stage 12-7 in the Brutal campaign, where I completed it in one shot. So what I'm going to be interested in, after I gear all these champions and I get more towards the end game, and I start going through Nightmare campaign, can I use someone like Turvold to one-shot the 12-7 boss after getting past the trash waves? If that is possible, what potential does that say for the rest of the community if they don't have a Paragon, if they can't cheese it that way, don't have a Martyr and Sir Nicholas, where you're kind of trying to make sure you don't get one shot by peril? So that's something I'm going to be looking at as I keep progressing forward. Alright guys, so that wraps up episode 1 of the progression series. Hopefully you could take something out of this video that helps you. Hopefully you enjoyed watching Turvold and getting an update on my progress, as mentioned before. Really quickly, going on to I do have enough to upgrade once, but I'm not really sure which route I'm going to take yet. I'm going to fully invest Void and kind of ignore the arena missions for now, or if I'm going to get those out of the way quickly, stick with accuracy. So another thing to let me know in the comment, what do you think? Should I fully invest in attack, crit damage to pretty much pump Turvold up, since he's going to, I want to say, be at least 70% of my damage and almost all of the content I do? I'm really going to have to be analytical about this progression series as I go forward to make sure I'm getting the most efficiency for what I'm trying to do here. As always guys, thanks a ton for watching. If you like this content, don't forget to subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and I will see you all in my next video.